So this is what I thought was the end of a novel, and as I've been going back to revise it, I think it's just the beginning of something. So, at my place, I welcomed Jackie inside and apologized for my poor furnishings. I told her I lost my good furniture during the breakup, like it was a divorce or something, and it hadn't been a year and a half since it had happened. She sat on my couch and I poured her a glass of water. She asked me if I lived alone. I said yes. I gave her the glass with the water. She took a long sip. She thanked me, then asked if I had a girlfriend. Finally, I've gotten to what this story is all about anyway. And how long did it take me to get here? Just page 150 by the way. I'm not even going to pretend I know what kind of expression took over my face or how I adjusted the glass of water in my hand, if I took a sip or not, if I smiled or cleared my throat, if I looked out the window or at my feet or at Jackie. What I do know is that had her question been a pitch, an underhanded softball pitch, it would have passed me in 4 seconds before I would have swung. I didn't know what to call Noriko. I knew we weren't serious, but what were we? Yes, we had made plans and things like that. We agreed to do things for the sake of one another. We even compromised at times. But I had never talked about her with anyone aside from my friend Celine, who had hooked us up. I never had to give her a noun other than her name. Still though, Jackie had seen me with Noriko and would probably see us together again. Oakland can be such a small town when you don't want it to be. Somehow, at some point, I said yes. Jackie closed her eyes and swallowed and said, shit. And then she took a breath in and blew out with her mouth and said, damn. I just waited. Then she opened her eyes and looked at me and said, what are you doing? I said, I don't know. You don't know, she said. I just shrugged. She said, I thought something had been going on with us. Yeah, I thought so too. Yeah, but you have a girlfriend. It was kind of like a question and kind of like a judgment being passed down. I bit my bottom lip and shook my head. I really wanted to tell her that Noriko was kind of sort of my girlfriend, but not really my girlfriend. But a fascinating wave of inhibition kept me from doing so. I was deciding between sticking with the fact that I had a girlfriend and being a jerk, or saying the kind of sort of thing and being a jerk who sounded like an idiot. It really wasn't a matter of a lesser of two evils between these two choices. I simply chose the choice that appeared first and kept my mouth shut. She said, do you guys have an open relationship? Not that I want to be a part of that, just trying to figure you out. Yes, it came to my head to tell her that Noriko had asked me to screw around with other women, but really coming out of a guy's mouth, wouldn't that sound like some fantasy he'd made up? Something that he had wanted to hear but had never really heard. I decided it was best for the moment to stick to silence. She said, what are you doing? At first I didn't say anything. I shook my head, looking at everything except for her eyes. But then Daddy's voice, like the hand and voice of God, descended upon me, comforting me. And I knew that I had to say something, so I did. And thus possessed and moved by the spirit of my late father, I have no idea what I said, as though I were speaking in tongues. And for me, this is kind of the case. I don't know what I was saying, just that standing outside myself, I could see my lips moving, my fingers taking many different grips on the glass, my head tilting slightly, making a specific penmanship of my articulation, and I could see not what Jackie was thinking. I would never claim any powers of this kind. No, all I had was an acute awareness of my own physical presence. Rather, I could see that Jackie was no nearer to storming out as she was when I told her I had a girlfriend. At this point, I didn't care if she left or not. I just didn't want her to hate me. So standing outside myself, observing myself as though I were the star in my own drama, as I sat looking, judging, despised myself so often before, I began to see myself as I truly must be, pathetic and pitiful. Then too I began to understand what was unsaid in my daddy's advice. Just say something, he had said, and that's what I was doing. I was telling Jackie things, some of which were intelligible, some not so. I stuttered and paused. I said, I don't know a lot, and I'm not making any sense a lot too. But I kept it up, and the more I said, even the more I stuttered and paused, I was listening to myself and hearing and understanding for the first time the words which came through despite my resisting breath and the power of the words I failed to say no matter how hard they pressed against my lips. Hearing myself, I knew I wasn't just saying anything. I knew it wasn't just anything I was saying. It wasn't just some piece of bullshit, even when what I said was bullshit. Why are you telling me all of this? There was a sense of genuine inquiry and concern in her eyes that matched her voice, a visual and verbal tone and pitch that fell into harmony with the gut feeling inside me. K-E-Y. Why? Because we love you. That childhood morning memory and my answer swinging on the tip of my tongue converged into a smile and a widening of my eyes. Having avoided saying any of what I was then saying, her question was too big to answer. Why was I telling her this? For some, love is a leap of faith. They find the person who makes them happy most of the time, makes them feel loved most of the time, and they jump off of a cliff, and this faith keeps them from ever completing the fall. But for others of us, those who grew less capable of loving because we felt less lovable in our own eyes, we take baby steps toward the cliff if we take steps at all. Our leap is the gesture we make towards the cliff, inching, pushing our bodies closer and closer. We begin to see scenes of the earth below, the tips of trees and the praying birds resting atop them, the quiet, undramatic bend of a stream or a river, a glimpse of the promised land of sorts. But also those, or maybe just that one awaiting, will finally take sight of us and know that we are there, that we have come to do what in some kind of funny way is the bravest, the most beautiful thing we will ever attempt to do. And I smiled at Jackie, not because I needed her or wanted her to be that one waiting or that one to catch my fall, but because I knew all of a sudden that she, or anyone for that matter, could never see me or catch me if I were never at the cliff at all. When I was finished with my babbles, with my brief and possibly passing moment of faith, Jackie sighed, and maybe she was only breathing, and I was only noticing her again. And like Jackie, so suddenly in my line of awareness was the darkness outside my living room window with its sheen from the late setting moon. A restless couple, dog and master, walked outside. First one, then the other barked. Restless but mindful of the hour, neither barked again. For months I had looked into Jackie's eyes to see signs of her desire. I thought I had found it, but maybe I had just looked long enough to interpret whatever, however I pleased. I was beginning to take notice of tendencies, cycles of the moon, interpretations of a confused and desperate mind. Now I couldn't bring myself to look above her waist, and that not even directly. The flesh which hung over the waistline of her denim skirt, like the edges of homemade cupcakes, stretched the knit of her t-shirt and then retracted. She lowered her empty glass into the floor, and in the silence which had washed over the room, the carpet and the wood underneath it gave a surprise. Well, so she jerked the seam of her skirt past her knee and planted her heels onto the floor. Her black leggings were stretched to a near tear at her right knee. She had a hole on the outside of her left knee. Short, curly follicles popped through like young roots of kudzu, desperate to catch hold of a telephone pole. The steel toes of her boots were permanently scuffed. What had I ever seen in her? That she was young? Why then was that very youth of hers now so much of an embarrassing feature to behold? I wanted a do-over, not just for the night, but for the past year, hell, maybe even the past life. Something had gone terribly wrong, and all that was to know was that something had gone wrong. I knew it was with me and on me, but there's a nagging need for it not to be me. Or maybe I didn't care if it was me so long as I knew what it was. It hit me. Oh my God, did it hit me. But I had been drinking too much. I was hungry. There was no time to eat. Food at this hour would nourish only my nightmares. I had to convince Jackie to stay because despite my question about her age and immaturity, I couldn't convince myself that I could bear it if she left. Her heels were wearing a hole in my carpet from the weight of her body and judgment. I didn't want to, but I looked into her eyes, which had absorbed the darkness of the evening. So, I think I should leave, she said. No, please. From my nauseating desperation, I could barely breathe the plea. I could hardly look into her eyes, but I had to show her mine. She looked straight at me. It was like a smile almost that twitched on her face. No, I should go, she said, her hands in her back pockets, her elbows cocked back like wings. No, I'm not. I stopped. I'm not. I shrugged again, clutching and opening my hands to catch or let go of something I could look into for strength or for the truth. I'm not trying to get you to. I started rolling my hands in these wide loops that brushed my shoulders like digging or conjuring up the right word until I just stopped. My fingers spread stiff out before me, my sweaty red palms facing me, the weight of the world standing on its tiptoes on the tops of my sinuses. I just want you to stay. I tried to show her my eyes again. I'm sorry, she said, again, that twitch of her smile, again. I just can't, she said. She looked at me, at my face, but not into my eyes. The world is a ballerina on her tiptoes, twirling about on the tops of my sinuses. I look through my transparent fingertips at the stains on my carpet. I hear the feet shuffle past me, the cloth of her leggings rubbing each other. I think I hear the whisper. I think I hear her whisper something, or maybe it is the wind sifting through the window screens. I'm barely a little bit comforted by the whisperings, the wind. She caresses my shoulder, or perhaps I have only released some of the tension I've held there. When she closes the door behind her, the latch sliding and catching in its hold reminds me of the rifle range at the academy and the clicking of the cock of the gun. I just want you to stay. I say it again slowly, slowly. I just want you to stay. I say it again, and the words reverberate through my bones until they are muffled in the marrow. I just want you to stay. I say it again, slowly, quietly, because